Good Monday morning, I am MPJ and you are watching FunFunFunction. Today I want to talk about being nice. I want to talk about how you cannot be a good developer unless you have good empathy skills. My reasoning for that statement is that in order to be a good developer, you need to be in a good team, and in order for a team to be good, that team needs to have a high degree of psychological safety, and in order to fit in such a team, you need to have a functioning sense of empathy. Let me give you some background to why I started thinking about this week, and also to give you an idea about what I mean when I say empathy. What is in that bag? That's scary. Oh, that's nice, it's just waste. I am very happy that it was not a severed head. So this week I ran across a thread on Hacker News, and this person, let's call them Aaron, they said something that was not quite correct. So another person, let's call them Barry, corrected them, which is fine. It's and completely the right way, the right thing to do. But Barry did it in this really condescending way. And it was completely unnecessary to be condescending, because now Aaron is going to feel bad about it. He's going to feel like if he's wrong, he's going to be berated or ridiculed, and he is going to be hesitant the next time to say something, which means that he's less likely to learn. And that is very, very sad, because it has made this group that Aaron and Barry are both a part of is now worse off, because you have made it harder for a member of that group to learn. So in this situation, Barry was concerned with correcting Aaron, but he showed no real empathy about how Aaron felt. And because of that, I think that people like Barry are a drain on the groups that they are part of. They do kind of try to contribute to the growing process of the group by introducing knowledge, but they also take away much more at the same time. When you have people like Barry in a group, it's like they help to pour water into a bucket, but at the same time they are constantly poking little holes in the bottom of the bucket. To me, it seems like there is this group of berries out there that they aren't particularly good with feelings or people and that kind of thing. And it does make sense that they have been drawn to computers and programming, because at first glance it seems like you can escape people and feelings and that kind of stuff by going into computers and going into programming, which is a complete illusion. It doesn't feel like it in the beginning of your programming career, but once you start getting into it, you start realizing that great software is not built by great programmers, it's built by great teams. As humans, we have a tendency to romanticize individual effort a lot, because I guess it's easier to relate to humans on an individual level. So we have like humans in movies like doing great things, the individual creates great impact on society and so on. But in reality, great things are achieved by people collaborating, and software is no exception. Great software is built by teams. Don't get me wrong here, there are absolutely programmers that are a lot better than other programmers. I love to follow programmers and observe programmers like Jonathan Blow and John Carmack. But when you do, it's easy, at least for me, to fall into the trap of believing that these great programmers are the key to making great software. I once heard somebody make an analogy between software development and juggling. So there's a big difference between how good people are at juggling. Most people can juggle with 2 balls, right? But the world record holder can juggle 13 balls, at least for few seconds. But the thing is, nobody can juggle 20 balls. And they can absolutely not juggle 20 balls for a sustainable time. You can, if you have like this access to this super programmer, you can actually depend on them up to a certain theoretical point. But after that point, your software has grown past the point where a single person can handle it, and you are going to need a team. And that is why the key to building great software is knowing how to build great software development teams. Which begs the question, what makes a good team? So, Google asked themselves this: what is it that makes our best functioning teams? What is it that makes them tick? What is it that sets them apart? And they did a 4-year study, which is pretty amazing. Like, Google has 60,000 employees and a lot of teams. I've linked to this study in the resources part of the episode description, by the way. And what they found surprised them a lot, because it didn't seem to matter who you put in the team. So these study results, they are a little bit skewed because Google has pretty decent hiring practices, so the people working at Google are going to be decent developers. But a key takeaway for me from the study is that it really doesn't matter from a performance perspective statistically if you put good developers or great developers on your team. Okay, so who you put in your team, that didn't seem to be an indicator of whether or not that team would perform well. So what did? And they looked, and one of the most, like the strongest indicators that they found of a highly performing team was that the team members felt a strong psychological safety, which is, and I'm gonna read here, a sense of confidence that the team will not embarrass, reject, or punish someone for speaking up. And when you think about it, it makes a ton of sense that a team that has that performs very well, because there's a lot of troubles that just get fixed. There's there's nothing that is gonna be hidden behind the surface, bubbling, because people will bring it up because they will feel safe to bring it up. And people won't be afraid of seeming dumb and asking dumb questions, so they will learn fast. And people won't be afraid of making mistakes, so they are willing to take risks, and so on and so on. So what this study teaches us is that in order to have a great software team, you need to have psychological safety. So these are pretty new findings, so there aren't exactly textbooks on how to achieve psychological safety in your team, but I think that we can safely say that you cannot have people on your team behaving like Barry did on Hacker News. If you have people behaving like that, those people they have to change or they have to go. Because you can't be lenient here and keep the Barrys around, because it just takes a single Barry to destroy the psychological safety. It just requires like somebody in your team to say something like, I did this mistake, and a single Barry to come in and say something like that makes that person feel bad about bringing their mistake up, and you've completely evaporated the psychological safety that you had. So are you with me here? Great software teams need psychological safety. And people with low empathy, Barrys, they destroy psychological safety. So if you're a person that might not have like your empathy skills up to par, that means that you will simply not be allowed into the best software teams. You will be driven out. You will not be allowed because you would destroy them. So if you don't work on your empathy skills, you're always going to be stuck building mediocre software. You're not gonna get invited into the best teams. And if you, by some miracle, are, you're going to destroy them. So, if you... Jesus, the sun is... So my conclusion is that if you want to make great software, work on the best software with the best people in the world, on the best teams in the world, rather, you need to practice empathy. And it's a skill. Empathy is not genetic or anything like that. It's you putting yourself in the shoes of another, thinking about how they might feel, how the comment that you're about to make, how that is going to be received, thinking about how to make your colleagues feel safe to ask dumb questions, feel safe to make mistakes, feel safe to grow. At least that is what I'm going to try to do. That's my theory on it. You have watched an episode of FunFunFunction. If you are already a subscriber of this show and want to subscribe even more, you can click the little notification bell next to the subscribe button to receive notifications of when I release a new episode. It would make me feel so good if I knew that I was part of your Monday morning notification spam. I am MPJ. Until next Monday morning, stay curious.